Hey guys. Sorry I'm late. Sorry I'm late.
Yeah, where were you?
Yeah, I know, and I got caught up on the salsa positioning call. But we're here now. Give people more time to join. I'm not sure Adrian, I think Adrian may or may not be, he may or may not be here today. I believe he may have a conflict today, believe it or not. Let me check with him real quick. Notes page up here. Yeah, he had a previous meeting run long too. That's all right. Yeah.
We know what that's like.
Yes, we do. We do.
Okay, hopefully you can all hear me.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Getting ready to post up the notes link now. Let's see. That ain't it.
Okay. Yeah. I got the link if you want me to drop it, or you already did.
Yep, just dropped it. Just dropped
Okay.
it. All right, good deal, good deal. So there's 5 of us on here. That means that we need to go out there and recruit more people to the call. I know that we have a tomorrow the supply chain integrity meeting. There's a end users meeting at the end of the week. Reach out and let them know that we are once again meeting so that we get more people here. All things considered, we do have a few things to talk about today. One of those things being new spec format. We have that to talk about. Upcoming open summit. We have the CFP that's in. That we have a chance to talk about salsa, S2C2F, and Fresca together in like a panel discussion. Thank you, Arno, for putting that up. I believe you submitted that. That was actually a submission from the other working group, right? And it just so happens that it provides an opportunity for us to speak on that. Now, there is the open SSF day that's coming up, and that CFP will drop here shortly for us to submit for open SSF day. That might also present an opportunity for us to talk about something. I think that it'll only be a couple of minutes on open SSF day. It's just one day, so I think they'll give us maybe 15 minutes if you get approved or whatever it is, just to talk about what we're doing here. I think that may also be an excellent opportunity to highlight what we're doing across the whole supply chain integrity working group, not just in one area, but in all areas, right? So maybe 5 minutes for us, 5 minutes for Salsa, 5 minutes for Fresca, just to detail where we're going, supply chain, security in general, right? That might be a great opportunity there. And then after that, figuring out more work on the spec in general. So like I said, we're talking about reformatting to something that resembles a spec that could get put through a process for approval and made into a real boy. You know what I mean? We get that done, but that's got to be in the right format. So we're going to go through looking at that, and that being the case, taking a look at it and making it better, right? So we got to put our hands in there and do some work there as well. So those are the things that I wanted to cover today. Adrian, if you got anything you want to drop in there.
I've been typing away as the scribe in the agenda section, and I think the biggest thing that we are looking for at this very moment is adopters. We have a big presentation coming up in RSA in April, where I'll be speaking and introducing the S2C2F, and would love to be able to say, a few companies have already started adopting. If you want to be, if I have your approval to include you in the list, but we've been working and enhancing our strategy doc for this SIG, and getting organizations and software teams out there actually adopting these practices and trying to follow them is a key goal of ours. So I guess out of the folks on here, we have Eric, Arnaud, and Avishai. Do any of your organizations have potential interest at looking to assess yourselves and your security posture against the S2C2F requirements?
Yeah, so I'll answer the question first. So Wipro is a GSI. So as a consulting company, we typically would leverage these more toward our clients' needs. So as per client, we would look to find the best of breed tools, frameworks, and others to help alleviate their security risks, as well as we do build internal products and accelerators. So on those teams, we would be looking to do that. But that's, we're 240,000 employees. We have a fairly large scope of groups that work on these. So certainly we can reach out to some of the internal development teams and see if they would want to run through this. But more often than not, we'd want to leverage this for our clients' sake.
That's fantastic. I love hearing that. Thank you, Eric. A pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
Yeah, Eric, man. So when I worked at PwC, one of the caveats of having a book of business like that was being able to take customer needs and wants back to an organization like Microsoft or like Google or one of the organizations that are doing that have services that are being offered, or products that are being offered, or frameworks that are being offered, or something like that. And in this particular case, you can bring it back here to the OpenSSF, where we're producing a lot of these frameworks and stuff like that, and then say, hey, my customers are, this is what the industry's talking about, but this is what my customers are talking about. And sometimes those things can be slightly different, right? the industry can be saying one thing, customers can be saying, yeah, that sounds nice, but from a business standpoint, these are our pain points. And it would be wonderful if you could get some of those pain points, take a look at the spec, and as a collective, we can cover down on industry stuff, but for customer sakes and customer purposes, they may be experiencing pain in one area or another that, if we can fix it, we can fix it in the spec. But if it's something that we can't fix, we can't fix. Of course, that's what it is. But maybe there's something that we can target in there that says, hey, we covered down on this end, but this little small piece right here, if they're experiencing pain here, then you know what, somebody else might be too.
Yeah, so I don't want to take up all the time here on this topic. I'll let others speak too, but I already do a lot of that. So DevSecOps is one of my areas of expertise. It has been for a long time, and the security aspect is something that I push with all of our customers to try and help them fill gaps, because it's often that afterthought, right? The network is secure. We think we've got the right authentication mechanisms. We can do the other things. We'll run our testing once a year or twice a year as compliance requires. But more and more over the last 2-3 years, and Wipro is we're platinum members. We're on the board of OpenSSF. Yeah. And we're big evangelists of a SALSA framework, the best practices, all the other components, and most definitely these components, as well as more and more tooling and frameworks continue to come out of this. We'll continue to push that, and we're partners with Microsoft and a number of other tech companies. But I think one of the most important groups to come out recently is the end user group. Because in this discussion point, a lot of, in my experience, and David is in almost every one of these meetings, but it's my experience with most of these is they tend to be driven a lot by technology companies. Client companies and end users oftentimes are not the focus, right? And I think that's been recognized, and I think that's improving. But I think that's one of the things that we need to be laser focused on. I think you're absolutely right. It's what is the client, what does the customer need? And a lot of the people in these meetings are people that we would consider clients outside of a technical product company. Right? Yep. So all the BFSI people that are in these meetings, all of those, those are potential customers, and their need is much different than Microsoft's. Right? Yep. So yeah, and Microsoft in and of itself is something of a GSI as well as a product company. You have a complete consulting arm that does similar work also. So we're on the same page. I completely agree with what you're saying. Those case studies and use cases coming back into all of the different groups can only help us be more successful and target the right areas.
Yep. Hey, David, so I see you joining
there. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late here.
No worries. Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
I can't imagine it's because you have a full calendar or anything.
No, it's completely clear in my dreams.
All right. Let's see. Where are we at in our agenda? The new spec format. God, Jasmine, would you by any chance have that handy?
I can try to find it. One sec.
Yes, this ISO's format to make ISO happy.
It is, David. It is.
Yes.
All right.
At least it's our best attempt right now. So that's something else that we can work on too. What I did want to do here with the group is present it so that we can then do the proper creating a pull request and then doing the proper merger and all that kind of stuff like that. But what we didn't want to do is work too much out of band on this, right? We did want to bring it to the group, let the group see what's happening, and then go through the processes of doing the proper pull request and mergers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
guys tried to generate ISO standard format from a markdown file. Wouldn't be
Oh, no,
surprised to see
so,
Yeah, that's-
that didn't happen.
Yeah,
not happen.
we
So how do
started
you
with,
actually, how do you do this? Because you don't want to maintain two different versions either, do you?
Right.
Well,
don't think-
what we did was we pulled it out and we did it in like a Word doc. What we're going to do is push it back into Markdown in its current format. That way, I mean, it's a lot easier to work on once you have it in the template, I guess. Like if it's a lot harder to do, you know, from one to the other. But I guess in the longer version now, it's easier to work on in Markdown, maybe. But the hell if we didn't have a hard time, you know, with that,
Yeah.
you know, looking at it in the beginning. So.
So Jay, maybe to cut through the trace, what is the proposed eventual process? And if somebody has a better idea, I'm sure they'll let you know, and you'd love to have something better. But so what's your current plan?
So the current plan right now, we want to present and we want to do a merger inside of the GitHub repo. We want to make sure this is as open as possible. We'll attempt to do any you know, create any issues and do any pull requests in Markdown. If we're unable to maintain the format as is and it gets too hard, then we'll just have to do issues, and then we'll have to make the corrections and then present the corrections made. Maybe we could do it in a Google Doc or something like that. I don't know, something that everyone can get to, something that's universal, and we'll go about it that way. I mean, ultimately, we want to make sure that this is done. You know, we don't want to do a lot of out of band work on this. We really do want to make sure that everyone who's a part of this SIG has a look, has a say, and has a feel on what's happening.
Yeah. I also
No,
want to just pile on and add that there's still like a little bit of a learning curve on, at least on my part, on how this will play out. What I've imagined in my head is that because the ISO spec needs to not include names of specific tools and things like that, I almost think that, you know, just thinking out loud, that we need like the ISO version of the spec to live side by side, or, you know, be separate from the way the spec is today.
Mhm.
I think the way the spec is today is more the like easier to consume, and you know, ISO just asks for things in a very specific way, and so therefore it might make sense to just have two, because the ISO, once it gets approved, I think that's like it's like written in stone at that point in time. And so
you do have different, you can update it and have different releases. I think formatting wise it has to be the same, but you can do updates and all that kind of stuff. But I'd be interested, Arno and David, I'd be interested to see how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, to be
Maintaining
honest,
two different.
it's obviously possible, and for some situations, I actually do maintain parallel docs. It's a pain in the butt, but basically, I would say when you can avoid it, try to do that. If you have to do it, make it clear. I think there's two different issues. One is two different formats of what's supposed to be the same document. That's a pain, but not terrible. But if you have two different documents and they diverge in content, I just don't see how you can manage to do that in a clear way. If you want to remove names of specific products and so on, I would suggest pull that out maybe to like an appendix or a different document. And then that's a different document, and or a different appendix, and you just don't include it in the spec or whatever. But you know, if you can avoid it entirely, whoops, oh, my video's not showing. If you can't avoid it entirely, if you can't, try to make it just formatting changes so you can do the cross check.
Yeah, and fundamentally, the question is, if there's a discrepancy, which one is the governing document?
Right. So
What is
once
the
you have a
master?
divergence, that's a problem. You know,
That's why, I mean, if you look at W3C, for instance, when they have different translations of a spec, there's a you know a stipulation in the spec that says if there's any discrepancy, the English version is the master. And yeah, I would think in that you probably need something like this here too. I mean, practically speaking, as David said, I mean, you would want to avoid having to maintain two different sources. I mean, that's maybe you need some tooling to, you know, go from one to the other and decide which one is the master and generate the other as much as possible.
Yeah,
one must win.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I hope I'm not mistaken. Again, there's a learning curve, at least for me, you going through the official standardization process. But I believe ISO sells their specs.
That is correct.
Oh, they
I
do.
don't think we can keep a free version out in the
Yes, we can.
wild.
Yes,
Oh,
we
we
can.
can.
But there's
Okay.
but there are catches. Okay.
Okay.
This is another reason to do. Okay. So having done this nonsense for a number of years,
Yes.
so this is another reason why you do not want to have a document that's differing with any content. ISO loves to sell their documents for large sums of money, which is really hurts standardization, because if there's only 3 standards, sure, I can buy a couple documents. If there's a modern society with millions of standards, no one can afford it. Okay, so since we're living in a modern society, the simple approach is you have your own, you can have your own doc, you can have your own format, and here's the ISO copy. It might be exactly identical, it might be formatted differently, but as soon as you make differences, now you're all of a sudden in trouble. By the way, this is not a new trick. The Common Criteria folks did it. The ADA programming language standard folks have done it. SPDX has done it. OpenChain has done it. This is a pretty, oh, if you want the official IDA piece of paper, that's fine. Most people, what they want is the content of the spec. Here it is. Go
Duh.
here. Okay. If you have extra money, awesome. Okay.
Go spend it. Yeah.
Go spend it, right? But this is another reason why there's a well-known way to how to play this game once you understand the game.
Got it.
So, and by the way, my comments may sound like I'm like opposed to ISO. That's not the meaning here. I'm a big believer in international standards. It's just I think this particular policy of ISO is from the dark ages that needs to have gone away decades earlier, and they just still haven't fixed that further.
There is no shame, David, in being opposed to this business of selling standards. There's a big community, we are clearly part of, who are, proponent of opening those standards. It's just ridiculous. But that's the business model they are in. So
yeah. There are many international standards that are not ISO standards. ISO is not the same as an international standard, but it is a lot of governments like things with the ISO label. So, and
there are other standards organizations that make you pay for their documents too.
Not many. There are a few. ISO is the main holdout. IEEE will do it, but a couple others.
IETC, I think.
I'm sorry?
IETC?
I mean, IETF.
IETF? IETF
no,
does
not
not.
IETF.
No, IETF does not. ITU think might in some cases, anyway. But yeah, but anyway, yeah. So anyway,
back to
that way.
Yeah, but so back to your point though, Adrian, I mean, yes, the actual ISO standards won't be freely available directly. There are, as David says, ways around it to get the content out. You can even get the latest draft of the ISO standard out. Some working groups actually play that game. because for review purposes, you can publish the working draft. And so people say, okay, we are basically ready. Hey, world, you want to see? You don't have the official letters one, but it's very close.
Yeah, the problem is that in some cases they want you to remove access once it becomes official. So it's much better to just say
They're trying to
openly.
close the door. Yes.
They're trying to close that particular door. But here's where, if you want the one with the ISO name on it, if you want the contents of the spec, here it is. And I think for most people, what they want is the content.
But so that's not really the issue. I mean, the issue is still that you want to make sure that the content is the same, right? I mean,
Exactly. Don't have a variant. It needs to have exactly the same text.
that's what we're talking about, right?
Right.
So
exactly.
ideally, you would have some kind of mechanism to, have one version that's kind of your master, and then from there you produce the other.
Right. I've never tried to create an ISO format from Markdown. I'm not saying it can't be done, just never tried.
Yeah, I just sent, and let me know if you got it or not, Jasmine. But so the doc that we have it in right now can't be shared outside of internal. So I gave her a Google Doc that can be shared. So the Google Doc is shareable, and right now we're moving everything over to that for the interim, for everybody else's consumption. Please stand by.
Now so very soon, what are we going to be editing to make sure that we are on one version? The Google Doc version? Is
the
that
the Google Doc version. And by the way, I did want to ask this. So I've done this before, created a Google Doc and then shared it out. But is this something that we should be creating internally, or should we be asking Khalil to give us a Google Doc or something like that for this?
Well, you don't have to ask Khalil. You can ask me. I have infinite powers to create Google Docs.
Oh hell! Well, so see,
unlimited Google
Docs.
Unlimited. Well,
David,
it's probably
please.
limited. But
I'm sitting here creating Google Docs. I don't know what. David, please, if you wouldn't mind, so that we're LF official. We gotta be LF official.
All right.
The Google Docs within some LF namespace in Google Docs.
Yes. Well, at least the we try to do that. We have not always been that. All right. Here, how's this?
And also, I will ask that because of what some of us working groups and SIGs are experiencing as of for some reason this week is all of our permissions as editors have been scrubbed, and we're all now just able to make suggestions in these docs. So we're not able to make edits that stick. They're just suggestions and all that.
All right. All right. So Jay, you are an editor. I believe that because I created it, it's at least within the LF namespace. I haven't created it within the OpenSSF, but we can. I believe we can just move it around. So, all right. So Jay, you are now. Oh, and Jasmine just requested access. I'm gonna have to read my emails. What a terrible idea.
I just did too.
All righty. So
as soon as you posted the link, I was like, okay.
Wow, look at that. All right, so let's get going here. I'm giving the people who are in this meeting and requesting it immediate edit accesses. We can make changes as the document gets further along, but I think right now the goal is to ensure that we have the best available collaboratively written document, and then go for.
But I think your goal, I mean, again, it would be, okay, if that's your source, can you possibly have some kind of tool chain that would extract the content of this Google Doc and then turn it into different formats, whether it's Markdown or some Word document, which has all the right bells and whistles to please ISO. That would be
Well,
ideal. I don't know how
Google Docs
feasible
to
it is.
Markdown. Google Docs to Markdown. It's been a pain, but we have found some better tools for that. I used some tools before. It wasn't bad. And I've learned of ones that many people told me are better. So I haven't used them in anger yet, but I've been told they're pretty decent. We'll see. And now, one thing we might want to do, and Jay, I mean, it's up to you, but we might want to attempt to format the Google Doc like the ISO docs. And then at least it's closer to what the final one will look like. Oh, look at this. Magic occurs. Look at
Yeah,
that.
it's building up quick. I mean, you guys are
Yeah.
quick spec
That's
writers.
All right. Now, I will say I am persnickety about some things when you're writing a doc, and it's okay right now, but as soon as possible, you want to set all the paragraph types to be the type, and that way, oh, I want headings to be heading ones to be a slightly different format. Boom, done. So you have to, I mean, I wasn't expecting that to happen in the next 2 seconds, but I think that's important because the tools like the Markdown generator or really any of these other tools, they're going to work off the paragraph types.
Yeah.
Google Docs doesn't have many paragraph types, but it does have some. So, and I don't think you can make your own, but at least you can use those. And that's a step.
Yeah, so Jasmine has pasted that there.
Awesome.
Do need to separate some of these paragraph wise, and then format and all the stuff you just said, David. Absolutely.
Yep. I mean, as I said, I'm not expecting that to be this instant, but if we can get it semi-close to the ISO format, then once we do the work to fix it for real, it won't be that much different from what we wrote.
Yes.
That's
Oh.
All
Okay.
right.
Perfect.
So progress made, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, I already added a link to this doc in our meeting notes.
Oh, fabulous. I was about to do that. So awesome for you. Excellent. Thank you.
And so David, I wanted to make sure you were aware of this, but I'll be speaking at RSA and introducing S2C2F. And so, yeah, I'm going to be beholden to the RSA, slide template, but as much as I can, I want to put like OpenSSF branding in there and everything. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that mandatory? You
obviously,
have to use the template?
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you do. It's an RSA rule. I've given a presentation too, so at RSA also. So yep. But that said, they do understand that people like to put in logos and things, and they're not going to forbid it from being in the main body. So
Okay, great.
yeah, I think you can just grab it from the openssf.org page, either the front or there's a direct link from it. If you're having trouble finding it, let me know. Actually, you know what? The person who can give you all the goodness is Jennifer Bly. I'm going to put her email address in the chat.
Great.
It is her job to do marketing for OpenSSF. To tell everybody all the good news, all the cool stuff we're doing. And so she knows exactly where all the logos and the I need it in this weird quirky format and all that good stuff.
Okay.
If she doesn't, she can get it worked out.
Thank you.
So if you need like a weird SVG, whatever, she can probably just do it for you.
Okay, great.
I mean, if nothing else, if you're ever in a hurry, I think a lot of that's already on the public OpenSSF site anyway. But she may have some other formats that may be helpful for you.
Okay. Fantastic.
Because we get weird requests all the time.
Yeah.
It's got to be in
Yeah.
this format or whatever.
Great. Okay. Jay, was there any, sorry, I diverged a little bit. Jay, is there anything else we want to discuss about the new spec format? Or are we ready for the next?
Nope, just wanted to make sure that everybody, first of all, sees what was worked on, sees what changed. This version is a trimmed version. There's a longer version, but these are all things I think that we can discuss. A lot of ISO specs are really generalized, but we really do want to make sure that everything that's supposed to be in the spec is in the spec. So this is where a lot of the questions are asked, and a lot of the help is needed to make sure this is as complete and robust as possible. What we also want to make sure of is that there are ties across and bridges across to the other stuff that we're working on within the working group, within the OpenSSF. Also, for language purposes, I harp on this in other SIGs. I will do no different here. I want to make sure that the terms and definitions that we're working on in the best practices group, that when we have terms and definitions that we're working on here in this spec, that those terms and definitions are uniform across all of the other respective areas. So that's some of the things that we're going to need help with as well, right? So collectively, as we're reading, if we can, get somebody from best practices over there working on that terms and definitions. I think Avishay's had some hand in that as well. So while you're reading the spec, Avishay, if you see a term in there that we're saying it one way, but in definition it's written differently, and the terms and definitions document best practices, let's discuss that, and then let's either change it on one end or change it on the other, but it should be clear and uniform throughout. So these are the things when it comes to the spec that I want to make sure that we're talking about, that's in uniform across the working group, across the OpenSSF, and then also making sure that we're successfully bridging over to the other frameworks and the other things that we're working on as well, so that it's one voice, one language, one continuous spectrum of supply chain security and compliance and conformance and whatever else we we like to say across all the different SIGs and working groups. Ultimately, what it comes down to is, when this is done, it's going to be something that's same voice, same organization. Everyone had a hand in it, and that's what it is. I'm done talking about that right now. Go ahead.
I want to raise my hand. First of all, I love it. Even if we can't get universal agreement on something, step one is at least find the problems are.
Yeah.
But let me add another point about this, Doc. If something needs to be removed because it's not general enough or whatever, for now,
Bless you.
thank you. I propose that we create an appendix within this document. I mean, you remove it if it's not appropriate to be there, but and not be appropriate at all. But if it's a little too specific, it really can't go in an ISO document. But it's important to say somewhere. For now, I propose putting it. Gracious, I'm allergic to you, Jay.
That's what it is. It's me. It's me. It's okay. It's me. I know. It's all right.
I've heard of computer viruses before.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I think for now, move it into a separate appendix. And the reason is, if it's within the same doc, somebody else can say, oh no, we can have it. It's all right there. The movement's easy. And then near the end, we can talk about, say, hey, maybe we take this out, write as a different document, whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if, by the way, in the end, you end up with a short formal spec and then kind of a guidance document or something else like that. That's, okay, there's many ways you can do this. Here's a common way, but because there's so many variations, it doesn't really belong in a formal spec, but it, whatever. Yeah, but I if we put it in an appendix, then at least it won't get lost. That's really what I'm worried about right now.
Excellent. Good deal. All right. Yeah, that's all I mean, as far as the spec is concerned, we have it up. We have a doc for it now. We can begin working on it, commenting and doing all that kind of stuff. So please, by all means, work in it, comment on it. When we have our next meeting, we'll talk about it some more, right? We'll make it a point to put in at least a good 15 minutes just to talk about the spec on each call. That way, we're actively touching it. If we need more time, then let's take more time. If we need to have a complete working session, let's do that too. But all those things can be discussed as we move along. Next topic for discussion is the OpenSSF Day and the town hall. I'm still waiting to get more understanding about this town hall. I know that the message went out to each working group about how each working group wants to split the respective time up for the town hall. I don't know yet. I can't imagine that each respective SIG is going to have 15 minutes to say something. I want to say a working group's got 15 minutes. And if they want to it may take a couple of minutes for each of the different initiatives that they're working on. I think that that's pretty much how to go. And then people will ask questions. I don't know. I don't know about that. But OpenSSF Day is something that we probably should be thinking about and talking about those. So I'll leave that on the floor. How do we feel about OpenSSF Day? All right.
I mean, I can speak up. Jay, you know, I can talk. The problem is shutting me up. So I've done a number of these town halls. I mean, really, they're just an opportunity for both inside and outside. OpenSSF, there's this huge number of groups hear about what everybody else is doing, and for folks outside to hear some of the things that we're doing. Excuse me. So really, they're looking for things that are worth, that you think other people would want to hear who are not already involved in whatever the operation is. And it doesn't have to be long. It can be just a really quick, here's where we are, here's where we're going. They love to have, some kind of success story. So, something that's being worked or some release or something like that. So, I mean, it's that's what's about.
Cool. Well, hopefully at the working group level, they want to. If there is an opportunity or something like that, I know I'll be attending the town hall. I believe, Adrian, if you're able to attend the town hall, that would be great too. But if not, that's fine. I'll gladly, if it comes up, I'll gladly speak to S2C2F. We can do it together. You can do it. Doesn't matter.
When is it?
The 16th
of this month?
of March.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what time though. Was it 10 a.m. Eastern? Is that what it is? I can't remember the time.
March 16th. I should be able to break away from some stuff. Yeah. Okay, and is it in the OpenSSF community calendar? Let me take a look. On the 6th.
And I believe on that one, and I think it's a one where there are also outside companies, organizations that attend that sometimes too as well. I mean, maybe we can get more contributors. That's not on the calendar, by the way.
Okay.
I
just added it to my calendar, so now I have it. yeah, happy to support. We could do it together.
Oh, never mind. It is on the calendar. Yeah, it's there. It's at 10. It's at 10. Actually, 10 a.m. Pacific on the 16th. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. So on that, and then of course OpenSSF Day. That may also present another great opportunity to take about 10, 15 minutes to discuss S2C2F. And then actually, that's probably a great time to discuss it individually, because there'll be that group discussion, hopefully. I think March 10th, the notifications go out to whether or not the CFP got accepted. I think that's March 10th. But for OpenSSF Day, it might be a great opportunity to get that good 5-10 minutes. Hey, this is what we're working on, a few slides up, all that kind of stuff. And then when Open Summit happens, then they could talk about them all together in that panel discussion, right? So that's like, you tell them what you want to tell them, and then tell them what you told them at the end. Yeah, David's very familiar with that. Yes, I did bring that out. I did bring.
You did.
I
You
did. Yeah.
Although OpenSSF Day might have an update for all the cool things that happened since then.
Absolutely. I expect that to be really cool. I do not expect a whole bunch of people to attend it though. I mean, I think travel budgets travel budgets are a little light these days. But I think it'll be real cool, and hopefully if they have virtual stuff, that'll be real cool, and we'll get enough people to look at that as well. So yeah. I've never been to Vancouver before, so I'm looking forward to it. That is where are we at now in our agenda?
Yeah, I was just looking.
Adopters, and I think Adrian talked about adopters earlier as well. That's it for the agenda. Do we have any opens?
Looks like David.
Yeah, I added one to you, Jay. So don't blink. Now you don't have to accept my proposed agenda change, but it's not really a change. It's just a note, a note to the larger group. Yeah, is it okay if I talk about this real quick?
Yeah, sure. Jump right in.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, I mentioned earlier, I think it's important to do a cross compare with between Salsa and S2C2F. I keep meaning to go do that, and I keep handling other fires. So since the fires keep not getting put up, so I've asked somebody else, Jordan Harbrand, if he can try to take a quick cross compare. And just to make clear, the goal isn't to make them be the same document. Okay, the goal is to make sure that there's no conflict between them. So if this says A and the other says not A, that's
right.
That's where we, and you know what, we want to know anyway, because if there's a conflict like that, there's something going on.
Yeah. Well, you know what, that's what kind of what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about bridging, right? So
right.
We're talking about one thing in one document, and then kind of what we're talking about here segues a bit over into what the other document's talking about. Let's make sure we give that honorable mention back and forth, right? That honorable mention should go both ways, because we're developing both of them in the same organization, and they should complement one another. They should never be antagonists, but protagonists to one another. So I absolutely agree with that. Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I 100% aligned all the way, and I almost started, brainstorming. What are some ways that we could OpenSSF could message the partnership and how they fit together with Salsa and S2C2F and Fresca. Do you imagine that?
I'm laughing, and I can't believe Arno's not laughing too. This is sometimes It's like every single, so we just got out of a meeting where someone wants to put up, or not someone, I mean, they want to put up a site for salsa, right? A landing page for salsa. And I said, well, why don't we do a landing page for supply chain security under the OpenSSF? And then we have salsa, S2C2F, and Fresca. And maybe they create
Exactly where I was going.
a drop-down page for salsa. You could click on it, it's a drop-down page. A drop-down page for S2C2F, you click it, it's a drop-down page. But then on the opening page for supply chain security, there's an end-to-end, something like David's diagram that he created for the Diagrammer Society. There's an end-to-end that talks about salsa, S2C2F. In the middle is Fresca with the secure build, pipeline right there. Bam, you have all of that, and then you're able to talk about each one of them and what each one of them does and how it contributes to supply chain security under the auspice of what we're trying to develop, across the whole working group, which is a complete supply chain security framework across the whole. I mean, this pretty much creates itself. We were just talking about it. So to your point, Adrian, yes, that would be something to see if we could get the powers that be to align on our thinking of partnership and collaboration.
I think that would be an amazing way to tell the whole story.
Yeah.
So it doesn't appear like these things are being developed in silos, or and people can see how they fit together and complement each other.
Yeah, don't worry. So we have that in the notes page here. Of course, I'll continue to beat that drum everywhere I go. I'll just keep hammering away.
I trust you on that one.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm trying. I mean, I've spent time over the weekend considering how many soapboxes I stand on, and I said, I gotta find a way to limit this soapbox stand. I gotta find a way to stop that. But then there I go again. I just get on them, and I have to continuously tell myself, like I tell other people, look, you're not wrong, but you're not all the way right. And sometimes being right isn't enough. You just gotta, oh God, tell myself that. Jesus. Whew. Oh goodness.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Do we have anything else for the good of the meeting? We got 5 minutes left.
Yeah. 5 minutes.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else left, we covered a lot today. This was really, really good. Thank you very much. For the next meeting, I know I'll do it. Please, if you all will, I'll jump inside the Slack, inside of the meetings, and tell people, hey, this S2C2F is meeting again. Come aboard. You guys were here once. Come on back.
Yep.
Also, since we have 3 minutes left or 4, I mean, what's your expected path to take this spec to ISO?
You know what? That's the desired path. I mean, and if it goes.
No. Which way are you going to go at getting it there?
I can tell you a little bit of this because this is an OpenSSF project. The Linux Foundation is actually a pass submitter.
Okay,
We can
so
directly submit it.
directly from OpenSSF.
Directly from OpenSSF straight to ISO. Now there are some prereqs, but the kind of prereqs you'd want anyway. Basically, it's got to have multiple organizations and review and just the things you'd want anyway.
Hey,
Now
I'm
ISO has all
familiar
sorts
with
of
the pass
formatting
process.
requirements and stuff, but that's what we're talking about. That sorry.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm familiar with the path, the fast path process, but I didn't know if it was at the Linux Foundation level or the.
Formally, it's actually
or-
something called the JDF, but the JDF
Yes, that's what
is
I
one of-
thought.
but the JDF is a part of the Linux Foundation. It's one of
But-
it's one of our foundations.
Yes,
And it's the
but so
foundation that
does their-
exists to be a pass.
Okay. I just because it okay, but that's fine. I trust you. You do know. That's
Yeah,
good.
there's more, and if you want, Jory can tell you more than you want to
No,
know.
no, it's okay.
Or Mike
I'm good.
Dolan.
I have enough.
Yeah, but that is the desire, and you know, we're dotting I's, we're crossing T's, and understand it's not just to go through the pass submitter process for this to become an ISO doc. It's towards this becoming something that's usable, something that's relevant, right? And that's the most important. It's not set and forget it. Want to make sure that this is something that's also scalable, right? And that moves with the ebb and flow of the industry and the ebb and flow of supply chain security, because we know all too well, you blink your eyes and something changes. So we want to make sure that this can roll with the punches as well.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. And
Yeah.
okay, and
Thank you
Jay,
all
this is
very
really
much.
for you specifically, but I'm gonna talk to Kate Stewart, who's been through this process. I think that we need to get the templates and stuff to help things out, and I think that'll I think we can give you a hand there.
Oh,
Okay.
wonderful. Thank you very much for that. Absolutely.
Oh. Don't thank me yet, but I'm trying.
All right. Good deal. All right. See you guys all in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Excellent. Take care, everyone.
Yes. Bye.